Hello, good morning. Welcome back. This is Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Also live on a number of radio stations across the country. We are very interactive on X and then also on Facebook. So there are so many ways you can share your thoughts with us. And the issues we're going to be talking about, read out to you and as always, and to the rest of the world. My name is Alfred Okonse. Welcome back. We start off this conversation today. Last week, we talked a lot about Cecilia Adapa and the Economic and Organized Crime Office and the advisory of the Attorney General to IOCO not to waste its time investigating any issue of money laundering related to Cecilia Adapa. Now, eventually, the IOCO boss took a decision to return the docket to the Special Prosecutor's Office. There are a number of civil society organizations and individuals who make the strong point that IOCO could have at least started some form of investigation into Cecilia Adapa's cash saga, to establish that fundamental question, the answer to that question of the source of the money, at least. That remains unanswered. Now, with what is playing out, over 100 Ghanaians have decided that if IOCO, the Attorney General, Special Prosecutor's Office, we've seen what's happening in the public, this back and forth, unnecessary, turf war that is seeking to rather divert our attention from the real issue. Well, there's over 100 Ghanaians say they will not be confused or have their focus shifted. They're going to Parliament, petitioning the Speaker of Parliament to have Parliament establish a bipartisan probe into this Cecilia Adapa cash matter. How is it going to end? Because this is not the first time we're going on this path with this particular Parliament, this 8th Parliament. Even though a hung Parliament, it has proven to be very partisan in a number of cases. So will this be different, or would they have any different outcome? One of the petitioners in this case is my guest this morning. And the institution that they have petitioned, Parliament, have 2 members of Parliament of this 8th Parliament also with us. I want to welcome the Honorable George Kweku Rickett-Hagan. He's a member of Parliament for the Cape Coast South constituency, and then also a former Deputy Finance Minister. Honorable Rickett-Hagan, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Alfred.
It's good to have you. It's been a while. Though.
Yeah, it's been.
So it's been almost what? Almost a year?
Yes. Could be.
Yes, because the last time you were supposed to be here...
It's been a long break.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Resumed me.
Oh, yes. We have resumed you. Thank you. Martin Kpebu is, in fact, Martin Luther Kpebu is private legal practitioner, and then also one of the petitioners in this case we're about talking about, also the leader of one of 3 individual bondholder groups, and then also the convener of the Komepreko Reloaded demonstration. Lawyer Martin Kpebu, good morning, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kansi. I like your outfit.
I'm learning from you.
And I told Honorable Apia Kubi that today he has to reveal the identity of the businessman.
He has to reveal the identity.
He has to reveal the identity.
That's what.
So today we are ready for you.
We are not living here without the identity of the businessman.
Excellent.
Thank you. You've been consistent with your fugu
Yes.
It's been a year.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Let's do it this way. It's good. Let's promote our own.
He's an ambassador to local products. So let's commend him for that.
Yeah. Indeed.
He has been very consistent.
Very. And the Honorable Andy Appiah Kubi, Member of Parliament.
Free fugus to advertise for them.
Yes, it's true. It's true. We should be looking at that. Like I say, that's how people, those who sell the fugus, they have to start sponsoring this fugus.
Absolutely. I don't think it will be a bad idea.
Advertise their fugus for them.
Precisely. There are a few people in the north who would once in a while pass on fugu to so I think it's a good one. The Honorable Andy Appiah Kubi is also a private legal practitioner as well. Honorable, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming. Yes. Good morning.
Yeah, let me greet my good people of Asante Achundo, because you elected not to mention the constituency.
I did, respectfully.
Right, so
I did.
Thank you very much for those kind words, and also commend my good friend for the display of the Ghanaian artifacts. It's good for all of us.
Indeed.
Yes, I'm inspired by that, and then the next time I come, probably I would want to also show support. So it's a good day for Ghana.
Certainly it is. Certainly it is. And being a good day, I sort of feel so you, together with over 100 people, Ghanaians, you petitioned the Speaker of Parliament.
Absolutely.
On this Cecilia Dapaah case. What are you seeking Parliament to do exactly?
Yeah, so we want Parliament to set up a bipartisan committee to investigate the circumstances surrounding how Yoko reneged on its statutory duties to investigate the money laundering allegations. You say, because it's been plain, very, very clear that the quantum of money alone puts the case in the realm of money laundering. If you read all the authorities, they tell you that if you see plenty cash like that in a home, when it should be in a bank, the next question you should be asking is your source of income. You see, it's no brainer. Or maybe is it that because it looks very easy, like we say in Ghanaian English, cocoa, maybe that's why Yoko thought it should be something like rocket science. No. In money laundering, last week I cited one of the British cases, R.V. Anwar, right? And there are a number of other cases. They tell you the principle is that when you see plenty money like that in a home, it's pointing towards money laundering. So go to the income of the person. And we all know, I'm sure because this is the introductory phase, maybe I cannot recount all the cases.
Oh, you can.
Oh, okay. So, and we all know that Cecilia Dapaah is was only a minister of state for sanitation and water resources. What was her income? And members of parliament have shown that she didn't seek permission from the speaker to do any other business. And neither did she even give any evidence that passed of businesses she was conducting. You know, the evidence she gave, the two cosmetic businesses, they turned out not to be for her. So it just leaves the case squarely in the realm of money laundering. Also, there's a one, she said the part of the money, about $800,000 of it, belonged to her deceased brother. OSP check, that factory that the deceased brother had was dead 15 years ago. OSP put all that in the public domain when they came out with their report. A factory that died 15 years ago, how can that factory generate money that has, what do you call it, 200 Ghana notes? A factory, did we have 200 Ghana notes 15 years ago? I mean, come on, it looks like a joke. So when you look at all the circumstances, you can see money laundering. And let's not forget, you see, for Kisi Ejabin, you see, sometimes when we are analyzing these things, we forget that Kisi Ejabin is an Ekufuado appointee. It means that they liked him. It's not just liking him. Beyond that, he must have some connections with them. Ekufuado will never give that, what do you call it, appointment to, let's say, the NDC stock. Who would we even call? Inusaf Sheni.
Well, he gave it to Martin Amido.
But for a purpose, and now we are seeing. They knew that when you hassle Martin Amido a bit, he will give up. Everybody knew. People who know Martin Amido predicted it.
Okay.
Ndebugri predicted it. And there was another professor who predicted it. Yes, Professor Fiajo. He predicted it.
We'll get to that bit.
So yes. Putting all together, you could see that Kisi Ejabin just wasn't working anywhere and they gave it to him. So simple and short, they liked him and they have connections with him. That's why they gave it to him, right? So my point is that for Kisi Ejabin to come out and publicly tell us that this case looks like money laundering, it tells you that there is evidence. Because what is he supposed to do? He could simply have ended at the point that, look, I haven't found evidence of corruption or corruption-related offenses, so case closed. But for him to have volunteered, that is a mark of courage we must celebrate, a mark of courage and independence. A mark of courage and independence, because looking at a lot of public officers, once they are benefiting sweetly from the system, they try to, put impediments in the ways of journalists and, what do you call it, investigators, right? Yes. So for Kisi to have gone a step further to blow the whistle, that though I don't find I don't find corruption and corruption-related offenses, I think this looks like money laundering. It's a huge step forward. So my point is that for Kisi to have done this, and then Yoko looks at it and says, I did that, I can't make a head or tail of this. When the evidence is there in plain sight, what is the income of Madame Dapa to match this colossal sum of money in her house? Then you are running around trying to throw dust into our eyes. And that is why we want Yoko to be held accountable. And we will never forget that Madame Tiwa has such a bad profile of protecting President Kufuor and his appointees. That's how come there's only one conclusion, which is that this one too, she tossed the case just to protect President Kufuor. What's the profile? Number one, Asensu Buachi and this Abu Jinapo were reported to her by the Kwame A+. She took a phone and begged A+ to drop charges because that corruption case will embarrass Kufuor. 2, when the Anas documentary showed Charles Bisu receiving money, the corruption case openly, and then Charles Bisu was reported to OSP. That time Martin Amidu himself was in charge. They quickly went and made a counter report to the CID. And Madame Tiwa then, as CID boss, quickly cleared Charles Bisu. Whilst OSP was still investigating this matter, I think in the past weeks we hadn't mentioned this Charles Bisu matter. OSP, Martin Amidu himself, was seized with that corruption case. He hadn't finished, and then a different petition was presented to CID, and Madame Tiwa quickly passed it and said, oh, there was nothing against Charles Bisu. Don't we still have the Charles Bisu case in court, OSP still dragging it? Yet Tiwa said, oh, there's nothing. Charles Bisu is as clean as a whistle. Clean as a whistle. Can you imagine? And yet OSP is still on that case. So then you go to Sewa Bruni, the lady who says President Kufuor is her boyfriend. She also reported that national security had broken into a hotel, blah, blah, blah. Tiwa made sure that case never saw the light of day. Takrade girls, that one too. See how the anguish Tiwa put parents through. Anguish, we found the girls. So the whole country were all excited that, oh, police and national security, all of them, they've done so well. We're all very excited. It turned out to be what? A ruse. No consequences for such actions. Then finally, the Professor Stephen Adair case. Yoko has no mandate to prosecute or investigate corruption and to prosecute same. Yet, Amwakwata reports to Yoko that Stephen Adair had said people in his ministry take bribe, blah, blah, blah. And Yoko went on with the case. When Section 80 of the OSP Act says that Yoko shouldn't do bribery and corruption, look at it. It's here, 80. It says, the Economic and Organized Crime Office Act 2010, Act 804, is amended in Section 74 by the deletion of the words corruption and bribery in paragraph A of the definition of serious offense. So Yoko's mandate in respect of bribery and corruption has been taken away. So yet Tiwa insisted and said, oh, she had investigated Professor Adair and thrown out the case. So you see that this is a lady who has consistently shown that she's a politician. Straight.
This is
that's what she is.
The Yoko boss.
Yes. Oh, that's why she. Yes. But by the cases, I can make that inference in law because she's shown. that she's out to protect Akufo-Addo.
Because of these cases you made reference to?
Yes, so five cases, and I can land firmly that she's plain face. It's just a police garb. It's no longer even a cloak, because she's thrown off the mask. That for her, she's a politician wearing police uniform. That's all.
If I look at your petition, and we'll put portions of it on the screen, I'll find out something from it, because it says we the underline as you. The underline
signed. Oh, it was a typo.
Being citizens of, oh no, that's okay. Being citizens of Ghana and interested in promoting and sustaining Ghana's democracy and the fight against corruption, which has retarded Ghana's progress for decades. You are petitioning the High Office of the Speaker of Parliament for a probe on the case of Cecilia Dapaah cash saga. It is the situation that IOCO, you say, led by its Executive Secretary, Mameya Tiwa Dodankwa, has chosen not to investigate the allegations of money laundering against Cecilia Dapaah. IOCO claims that they cannot comprehend the basis of the OSP's opinion that Madame Dapaah, that the former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister, and her husband were potentially involved in money laundering regarding the substantial sums of cash discovered in their residence and in various bank accounts. It is evident and quite clear that with ample evidence available, accompanied by a docket that contains over 20 witness statements. You say the docket contains over 20 witness statements?
Yes, the question, people who were interviewed, 1, 2, 3, over 20. OSP said it. OSP put out that information, 20. And if you, look.
And these witnesses...
Yes, they show money laundering. Look, one of them...
Their testimonies pointed to money laundering?
Yes, let me show one of the, what do you call it, one of the laughable stories. Look, at one point, Cecilia Dapaah's husband's is a niece, the one who said she brought money from the US. Now the money, she made sure that, look, $200,000. How did you bring the money? That I divided it. So if she was on the flight with Honorable Ricky Tegan, then Honorable Apia Kubi, and she gives Ricky Tegan 10,000. Apia Kubi 10,000. So can say 10,000, Kwebu 10,000. All of you on the plane, no. Then when you get down in Ghana, you all give her back the money. Can you imagine? It's Hogwarts.
And she said,
and they are sitting on that docket. Listen, this case, what? There are stories like that in that docket that Mamiti is trying to sit on. And you think we are fools? You think we are scared?
So
even deaf, it can come.
The niece of...
The niece, that is the story the niece gave. That coming to Ghana, $200,000. I shared it amongst so many people. 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. When you get off the plane, then you give me back my money. People you never knew from Adam. You get to the airport. Esime say, oh, Honorable Higgins, are you a Ghanaian? Okay, yes. Oh, can you handle this $10,000 for me? Honorable say, yes. Apia Kubi, okay, even from your name, you're a Ghanaian, right? Please, 10,000. Okay, say, this is Ghanaian, 10,000. That's how she distributed $200,000.
That's what she
brought
said.
Into Ghana. And that's the story in a file. And you are sitting on that file.
And this story is captured in the file in the docket?
Yes, and you are telling us that there's nothing in that file. TY. Hey.
No,
are you suggesting that the name Reketi Egan is not Reket Egan? It's not Ghanaian. May not be.
Oh, it's it may not be.
According to the two
even his hair low.
Ghanaian.
Yes, even his hair low. You see the curly hair low. You say, oh, maybe Malaysia or somewhere in India. And these are the Indians and the...
You may not be far from...
The stories in that docket. So the point we... Look, Mr. Kansi, let's spend all this and let's tell Tiwa that we are not fools. Have you heard Adam Bona in the tape, the video, or you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it. No, he forwarded it to me.
No, Madam Tiwa, Adam Bona is telling you that you know and he knows whatever went on between the two of you. He's telling you that he's challenging you, that he knows that this your thing is a cock and bull story. Stop that thing. Ghana doesn't belong to you alone. You can't continue to be a poodle to politicians like that.
Okay,
look at the kind of stuff in that docket. 20 witness statements.
Counsel.
Yes.
Counsel. In the end, you have petitioned the Speaker of Parliament.
Yes.
You want Parliament to look into that matter. In fact, let me just establish this, that you are not the only one.
Yes.
In fact, we have Daniel Domelevo. Hopefully, we will hear from him.
Kwame Sapone-Siedu,
and then also Professor Jampo,
Dr. Kwame Nanaya Akwada.
Lawyer Abdullahi, Justice Abdullahi as well. And then also, just to say that I saw fuel attendants,
carpenters, masons,
mechanics,
makers,
the clergy. I mean, everybody in there. So the people that we normally would call ordinary Ghanaians. Because fuel attendants were also part of the persons who signed this petition.
So many.
We have mechanics, we have commercial drivers, all in there. More of capturing a reflection of the various aspects of society who are concerned about this. I mean, I'm bringing out this point because this is an issue that has played out, even bringing Parliament into question, because this person we're talking about served in Parliament, served with you. There are a number of things that went through Parliament and approved by you whilst he was in office. Hearing how this case has played out now that the Ioko says, you know what, I looked at the docket. There's really nothing in there based on even the Attorney General's advisory. So I'm returning this docket. People have seen the details of the docket and he's telling us some of the stories in there. Does it concern you that at this point,
OSP put it out there, dispatches.
We are almost caught up in a situation where we may never, if things continue this way, know the source of the money involved.
Thank you very much, Alfred, and good to be here. And good morning to my honorable brother and to Martin, who's been fighting a good cause, and to the good people of Cape Coast South in particular. In fact, I first talked about this case when I came to this very studio.
Indeed.
When the issue came out, sort of, we say fresh. And it was quite shocking, the amount of money that we were told was discovered in the lady's house and what that money was doing in that house. And considering her position, obviously, in society, being a public servant or a politician. And I thought in many jurisdictions that I know, this matter would have been a very serious issue by now. And for us to, or for this system to be able to navigate this case the way it has done so far, it's really troubling. It tells you that nobody really is interested in fighting anything like corruption or money laundering, as they put it now.
One of the suggestions was that since you're a finance person, one of the suggestions last week, you know, even by prominent lawyers, Sam Okuja, told us that there's really no law that prevents anybody from keeping that amount of money in their home. So what's the problem? Is she the only one in there? Can that argument suffice?
That we are hypocrites.
Well, I guess there's no law if you go and find somebody's head in your house. There's no law that says that you killed a person or you just happen to have a school, somebody's head, which has been dried out and is hanging in your bedroom or in your sitting room. I guess I'm not a lawyer, but Lawyer Martin is here. I don't know if there's any law, you know, that they can say you have murdered someone, especially if they cannot identify who the school, you know, belongs to. Look, it's really a joke, especially what sometimes we tend to do with law. You know, and the two lawyers here, and sometimes, you know, naively, I think law itself sometimes is part of the problem.
Law is part of the problem.
Naively.
Okay, right, yes.
Because, I mean, you know, the same law that can be used to set somebody free is the same law that somebody can also twist to get.
Let me help you.
Yeah.
Law is not a problem, but a problem is the evidence to establish conviction or otherwise.
Right.
So law itself is not a problem.
$1 million
But how you bring out the evidence? Sometimes you
$1 million
there are elements of the law that you need to prove.
So
And
he's
you
saying
prove
make
that
the law easier. So both of you are right. He's saying the quality of the law sometimes is a problem. No, that one he said in another rule of law. The quality of the law.
This law in money laundering is adequate.
Okay.
Except that you need to provide evidence in support of the elements, to prove of the elements, to ground your charges. And sometimes that is where the difficulty comes.
But the one with $1 million basically has no basis to prove to anyone why they have $1 million.
Even public officers may even be compromised.
All right.
In the establishment.
Can I
Both of you are right, but Tilton told him the quality of the law. Sometimes it's when you do legislative drafting, the quality, how you write, your
It's also,
expression.
I mean,
yeah, so that's what
this is a challenge.
this is a clear example that this country is not serious about fighting corruption.
Absolutely.
It's a clear, if you are to cite, I'm to cite one example. Because it might not be clear in law, but I think it's clear in common sense. It's clear in what you see. And for this woman still to be walking around freely with yokos and OSPs and all that, banging their heads together, it's really shameful. It's really shameful and doesn't give anybody any desire to want to do anything to help fight corruption in this country. And the case gets twisted every day. Every time you hear of it, it goes to places. I mean, if the evidence of finding $1 million in your house is not enough, I mean, if you look at some of what some of these witnesses are saying, they themselves should be in prison. I mean, to be able to say, admit that you were actually distributing $10,000 on a plane to people. It's not a distribution of it. But all those monies belong to you, and you know the law, that when you have such money on you and you get into the country, that money should be declared. So the reason why the money was distributed is for you not to declare, and that itself is an offense. But all these people are walking around. It makes believe. I mean, this is unbelievable. You know, sometimes you lose hope that really, are we serious as a country? What do you really have to do to deter people for doing these kind of things? At the moment, there seems to be no deterrent. And people will try these things on and on again, knowing very well that there will be no consequence. I mean, you just have to have a nice story to tell. You know, whether it's a factory that was closed 15 years ago or a dead brother who was sending money from the cemetery or whatever it is, and get away with it. It doesn't seem to be a serious country that we live in.
But can Parliament provide answers? Because you see, now
there's a
the
petition
petitioners
now.
are hoping that Parliament would help.
Well, it has gone around the block, and we haven't had any solution. So some level of desperation has actually set in this, and it's come to Parliament. You know, another arm, you know, of government which has the powers to investigate things if they want to. So it's come. The petition has come. You know, Speaker will take a look at it, and then, you know, a ruling will be made whether the bipartisan, you know, approach will be used in Parliament. You know, whether we have the laws to back that and be able to do that investigation. I mean, the lawyers who brought the issues there or led them, because now it looks like the cross-section of Ghanaians,
yes,
you know, who have sent this petition, obviously led by, you know, good lawyers like Martin and all that. So I'm sure they've done their homework. They know that we have the powers to be able to do that. The ruling will be made, and surely if the powers are there, I will welcome the idea of somebody in this country standing up and looking at this. To say that, look, there is something here that we can look at and not brush this under the carpet as if nothing has happened.
But you, Parliament, you've been also been extremely partisan. Even in this 8th Parliament, that is a hung Parliament. And you know, the expectation is that some of these things will have a bipartisan approach. You've been extremely partisan. So, is there any hope for these petitioners?
Well,
or for Ghanaians who are looking for answers?
I am optimistic. And I want to hope and believe that every case can be different and the approach can be different. So this will be looked at. And many people, I'm sure including people within the MPP, are not happy with this and don't want us to brush this under the carpet. But obviously, as you said, you know, partisan colors sometimes make it difficult for people to even put on their thinking cap for consequences, fear of consequences. So let's hope that, you know, finally, the people will begin to act on this, because this is ridiculous. If we are not able to look at this and bring some finality to this case, look, I tell you what, we don't stand a chance and hope in anything being resolved. You refer to this case, and it stinks. I mean, when I came here, I just looked at it, and I just, you know, from my layman's view, I said, this is basically thievery. Yes. That's how I saw it. Yes. It looks like a clear corruption. Somebody would say, I have to prove it. And obviously, you know, so far, they think that we have not been able to prove it. So let's see where this goes.
We've proved it. So far, she's not been able to explain the sources.
Yes.
And under Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Act 1044, the burden is on her. She's not been able to prove, so you're on firm grounds.
Common explanation as to where that money came from.
Yes.
If you are innocent and you choose, you know, to live in the Stone Age and keep your money in your house, explain it, where that 1 million came from. And the explanation doesn't add up. Different stories are being told all the time. And it's really, this is really concerning.
Indeed.
Really concerning.
Let me welcome Daniel Yao Domelevo, who is former Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana, and also one of the petitioners in this case that we're talking about, the petition to the Speaker of Parliament to establish or consider the establishment of a bipartisan probe into this Cecilia Dapa case. Daniel Yao Domelevo, good morning. Welcome to Key Point.
Good morning, and thank you, and good morning to your colleagues.
To the extent that this case has traveled through all the 3 arms of government, right? Because it started from the executive, and then the judiciary was brought in. Now you are taking the demand for answers to the Legislative House of Parliament. Are you of the view that even before IOCO could reach this point or this conclusion and return the docket to the Special Prosecutor, it could have at least started some form of investigation into this Cecilia Dapa cash matter?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I've been listening to the gentlemen in the studio, and they are doing fantastic explanation or deliberation on the issue. If you have been following developments in the country for some time, you will know that IOCO is one institution that at times go beyond their mandate. I'll give you 2 examples. When I was holding the senior minister liable for the Crow and Associates case,
Honorable Domelevo, Mr. Domelevo, if you can move a bit to your left for me.
A bit to my left.
You're right. In this case, you're right. Yes.
This way.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Let me move. Is that okay?
Move a little bit more. That should be good. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. When we were pursuing the senior minister on this Crow and Associate case, quickly, Yoko decided to investigate me for alleged procurement offenses, where even they themselves they themselves know that the law, the public procurement law, the heads of the independent constitutional bodies are not part of the entity tender committee. But they said, since I was the head of the institution, and even the minutes of the meeting and all their deliberations, I was not part of it, they decided to come for me. When even I drew their attention, their mandate to investigate procurement-related offenses has been taken away by the OSP Act. They refused to budge. It took the High Court, I have to sue them. In that case,
Yes.
Auditor General versus Yoko,
Exactly.
I have to sue them. It took the High Court to stop them
I was going to say that. Exactly.
before they stopped. Recently, when Professor Ade made allegation of corruption and corruption-related cases against the Ministry of Roads and Highways, which does not fall within the mandate of Yoko, quickly they went and investigated and told us that they cleared the ministry of any wrongdoing. Here comes a case which falls squarely within your mandate. You don't want to investigate. And what beats my mind is the fact that if you do the investigation, we cannot impose on you what you should find. So if they even did the investigation and came back and told us that they found nothing, I think maybe it may be a bit okay. We will not accept it though, but there's nothing we could do about that. They said they cannot investigate it. So to me, two questions are usually on my mind when their refusal came to the public domain. Two questions. I asked myself, is it the prophecy of the president when he was accepting Madam Cecilia Dape's resignation that at the end of this whole investigation, your integrity or your reputation will be fully restored? Is it that prophecy which is being is materializing at this moment, or is it because, like Lawyer Kwebu said, Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act provides that when you are being investigated for money laundering and there are some properties under your care or your control or in your possession which you cannot account for or cannot be reasonably attributed to your sources of income, then you are guilty of offense. That's why they are refusing to do the investigation, or both. Otherwise, it really does not add up why Yoko, who is very fast at even being lawless in their investigation, will say this one which rather falls within our mandate, we will not investigate. So I think, like I said yesterday, all that we are seeking to do is to understand or know the story behind the story of this Madam Cecilia Dape's case. Thank you.
But so you think what the statement the president made right from the beginning is what is influencing how things are playing out?
Doesn't it surprise you that he predicted it and it is coming out? It's almost coming out as he predicted. And remember, he didn't just say you will be exonerated. He said you and I, we know, the two of us. He said he, the president, and Cecilia Dape knows that it will not go anywhere. Nothing will happen, more or less, if I can paraphrase. So it's not surprising.
But Yoko have told their story. They say that they looked into the case as brought to them by the special prosecutor. There is really nothing to pursue in there. They will not waste their time on it. You say that their story is not believable?
In fact, they themselves don't even believe the story they are telling us. And they can say those to the Marines, but I don't think anybody will believe Yoko. Even your panelists have done a lot of justice to the issue. The inconsistencies in how they are narrating the money was generated and brought about, and the sheer volume of the money itself leaves a whole lot of questions. Let me also draw attention to another issue or side of the issue, which maybe Yoko did not look at. You know, under Article 286 Honorable Cecilia Dapa, being a minister, was required or is required to declare her assets to the Auditor General before assuming the position maybe in 2017. I don't know when she started. And after every 4 years, and upon leaving office, she's supposed to do that. Clause 4 of Article 286 goes further to say that if after your first declaration, some assets are in your possession which cannot be attributed to a known source of income, gift, or otherwise, or any other justifiable means, then you have acquired those assets also, contrary to the Constitution. So I think there is a duty, at least for us to be sure that that requirement of the Constitution is met. Mind you, me that the attempt of OSP to get asset declaration information from the Auditor General failed, because the Auditor General said OSP was not mentioned in the law. So at least Yoko should have gone in to see that, oh, okay, let's even think that maybe the sources of income may be okay. But did they even declare this? Did they do all that? If they didn't do it, then it's disturbing. But just to base it upon the advice of the Minister of Justice, who we know is a colleague, a cabinet, a member, or maybe a member of the government, the same team, advising that don't even investigate. Which advice, I'm not a lawyer, but I think it was wrongly, he wrongly advised. Because when there's such a serious allegation, I thought the first thing the Attorney General would have rather advised is do the investigation and let's see what you will find. And if after the investigation they bring out their findings, they say, oh no, this cannot hold water, forget about it. Or let's go ahead and prosecute. I think that would be a professional way of advising. So these are some of the reasons why we think that at least there should be a probe so that we have the opportunity to hear the story from the horse's own mouth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please stay with me because I'm going to come back to you. But, John Wandi Apiakobi, the fundamental issue here is that, I mean, beyond all of this unnecessary theft war that we are seeing amongst these bodies that are supposed to be focused on that's investigating this case, aren't you also concerned that even establishing an answer or getting an answer to the fundamental question of the source of this money is in limbo because of all of this back and forth that we're seeing?
Thank you very much, Albert. And a very good morning to my friends and brothers here, Martin and Rickett, and your good self. Before I deal with your issue, let me just advise all of us. You mentioned Mr. Daniel Domelevo. His name, Domelevo. I wasn't comfortable. At least Mr. is a title that is given to everybody.
And it's a fair point.
And
no,
Martin
it's a fair point.
And Martin
it's a fair point.
Listen.
No,
and Martin also said,
point.
Kufuado. Well, at least give him some.
We
of
say
his titles.
Obama. Biden.
Let me
Jimmy Carter.
Let me enjoy.
Kwame Nkrumah.
Let me enjoy.
So.
No. And okay. I mentioned former President Atamils.
Too long.
Former President. You see,
doesn't put food on the table.
No, let's be decorous a little bit. You see, when you mention the man's name without title, I wasn't comfortable.
I was actually happy. No, honorable. Honorable is not.
No. Me and you,
even with that,
and you, we are friends. So I don't even expect you to call me Mr. Apiakubi. That is not necessary.
Okay.
Or even honorable. It doesn't necessary. It's not necessary. But for seniors in society like that, at least.
No, I think that, I mean, if there's a fair point, but I mean, just to let you know, there's a fair point. Yes, it's a fair point. You have stated your issue.
Okay, no, let me go to the issues. The list, and again, Martin, I want to be sure that this list is also not partisan. Martin, you are my friend, and you know my positions on such national issues. Yeah. You did not even invite me if I wanted to be part of the petitioners.
You see, it's my fault. My apologies.
You see, well, but again, I don't know the whole list, but I want to believe that it is also not partisan.
No.
In most of the cases, when issues of national interest come up, the best way to dissolve it is to make it partisan, so that it becomes a war between supporters of this party versus that supporters of that party. And that sometimes kills the initiatives that people bring to the fore. My belief is that there are people from various political parties. And I want to also state that this matter before us has no political colors. And I don't want anybody to even want me as a member of parliament on an NPP ticket to be partisan in my discussion. I won't.
Okay.
To be honest with you, investigations are instigated by suspicions. And when you suspect something, it doesn't automatically mean the person you suspect against is guilty. But we have to start investigations. My worry is that all the state institutions mandated to investigate matters of this nature, they are all shifting blame onto one another. It's a source of worry. So it means that the state institutions don't know the extent of their jurisdiction, and that they will even engage in this turf war, which is very unnecessary. Again, number 3, the extrajudicial pronouncements. And I am on record to have come here to say that the president's statement upon receipt of the resignation was needless. Now
that her integrity will be restored.
Yes, was needless.
It was a needless statement.
Yes, was a needless
by the president.
Yes, and I still stand by that position.
Thank you.
And you see, we're getting to a position where people are even making references to
that statement that the president
as a
made.
prediction that state institutions have been encouraged to justify. You see, so if that statement didn't come, where will this so-called justification have been made? So it was unnecessary. Number 4 is that I'm very happy with Mr. Domelevo's statement that he had to go to court to challenge the jurisdiction of that state institution that commenced the investigation against him, pursuant to his complaints and the call on another state institution to investigate a matter that was of public interest. And, you know, ordinarily, somebody will have folded his arms for that state institution to bully him. He set the target, he set the rules, he set also the line to also encourage Ghanaians that if you think that a state institution is abusing its mandate, you have to go to court to set the records right and also injunct that state institution from unduly exercising an uninvested mandate. So I want to commend him for doing that and setting a good example for all of us, so that in all cases, don't just fold your arms or throw your arms in display. There is always a situation or process within the law that will allow you to also enjoy your freedom as a citizen. So, Mr. Domelevo, big ups to you.
Very important.
Declaration of assets. It's a requirement under the law.
Have you declared your assets?
Of course.
Fully?
You see, one thing...
Honestly.
Honestly.
It's a true reflection of your assets.
And indeed, it works to my advantage. Because when I'm leaving office, and somebody comes to tell me, oh, you have this house, you have that house, I say, go to my declaration.
Well, there's some...
That defends me. But if you don't declare, and then you are leaving office, somebody comes and says he has a house here, he has a house there, then you'll be struggling to justify your right, because you built it not even when you are in office, or you built it in office, but you can also support it with evidence of your earnings. You understand? So it is good for the person who is declaring to declare, so that nobody will accuse you of having amassed wealth in office. And you know, me and my brother, we know that in parliament, when you are a parliamentarian and you don't have any other source of income, there's nothing that you can do of prominence. You can't do anything. No politician, parliamentarian who has no other source of income can do the things that people are talking about. And my brother, tell me if I'm wrong. So it works to your advantage if you declare what you have coming into Parliament, for example. So I will encourage everybody to do that because it is your cover, so that when somebody comes. But again, the law also requires you to do any points to a sanction system when you fail to do so. And Article 286(3), failure to declare or knowingly make false declaration shall be a contravention of this Constitution and shall be dealt with in accordance with Article 287. You see, when you breach this Constitution, there are sanctions that befall you. So why would you want to breach that Constitution? And again, declaring the assets is not a difficult matter. And the last time people were talking about publication of the asset, as far as I'm concerned, if Martin, if you knew that even before I came to the University of Ghana as a student, indeed, at that time, I had a pharmacy shop in Pig Farm, and I was earning income, and I had built houses even before coming to the university. But somebody will come and say that, oh, he just finished university, so, and he has a house. If you go to my village and tell them that Apiokubi has a house, you would not have said anything, because they know that I have done.
You have houses.
And I come here and tell you that I am a farmer. And if I earn something from the farming, and every year...
would you support a publication of your assets?
Yes.
So that everybody gets to know? And you support that?
That is exactly what I'm doing. Okay. I have invited Martin over and over again to come to my farm. He won't come.
All right, that's okay.
The declaration is not a punishment. It is rather a cover for a public officer.
Okay.
Again, if, like Madame Cecilia Dapa, if she had declared her assets to include A, B, C, D, sometimes even indicate a potential of income. It's on the form, you can. Because once you indicate that you are receiving, and again, for a public officer like her or me, you are not precluded from earning income, except that you need a leave of Parliament, of the Speaker, to be able to do other things. The last time I was in court in Kumasi, somebody said, he's a member of Parliament, he's not supposed to come here. I said, my friend, this is my certificate, Office for Profits.
So the Speaker gives you the permission?
The Speaker gives me the permission to do.
In this instance, we understand that did not happen. There are multiple people, right? No, not in your case. In the Cecilia Dapa case.
I'm just saying that...
She never gave anything to the OSP.
If Madame had declared and had taken leave to go into other businesses, she will not be facing the investigations that are ongoing currently. If she didn't do all that, and she didn't declare her, then it becomes a suspicious volume of money stuck in her home. And that alone, the suspicion alone, should motivate the state institutions to investigate. I am not saying that she would have done anything wrong at that point. But through the investigation, she has also a right also of responses to the questions they raise about the found wealth. I would think that there is something amiss here from the investigation to the point of prosecution. That is where somebody appears to assume the right to determine the justiciability of the matter. And I'm sure that the breach is coming from there. Whatever it is, if you believe that she is even right, it is the more reason why you should put up the case for her to prove her case.
So you would have expected that Yoko should have started some form of investigation?
Yes, whatever the evidence that you have. Because this suspicion, you cannot say that there's no substance and therefore there is no case to bring before the court. No. Right. Prepare your brief, go to the court, and let her also have the opportunity to prove her case. If even if I were her, I would even advise them that, yes, put me before the court. So it is an opportunity for you to make your case, or for the evidence against you to be established, to lead to the consequences before the court. So once you decide not to do that, then many people begin to think whys and hows will come. So for me, the state institutions have not satisfied me by not putting the matter before. I heard Attorney General saying that we have no evidence to, or you see, we haven't found anything, and this one says this. Look, if you haven't found, why are the courts there? Go to the court and let the court make that determination, which will be final.
Right.
If at the court you are cleared of any wrongdoing, it is in perpetuity, you didn't do it. But for now, if you don't go through the process of exonerating yourself, and we find ways of avoiding the due process of the law, you cannot take that suspicion also away from the minds of people. So for me, prosecution is necessary, because even once we realize that if the declaration has not occurred, if we find huge monies in the pocket of Apia Kubi, and Apia Kubi, for me, we think that he doesn't have the capacity to generate such revenue, let him go to court, and then the court will set me free or impeach me. So on the Cecilia Dapal case, I think we must end the process of investigation and prosecution.
But can Parliament be trusted, even with, because the petitioners have now shifted?
Well, they have come to Parliament, but again,
to you
in Parliament, I don't have a right to nominate myself as a committee member. You see, it is a prerogative of the
leadership of both sides
to select. The speaker.
In this case,
to select his committee. It's the speaker's committee to be established. So it's the prerogative of the speaker to say, Rickett, Martin, you see. So if you are selected, you want to do a good job to ensure that we put matters to rest. But most of the time in the parliamentary processes, they will say leaders of parliament nominate committee members, and the speaker will only be furnished with a list of nominees. And in your selection, they are also sometimes unnecessarily careful, so that they think that this one we will
not
think
go and
this
say
way,
some things.
This one we think that way. So you see, you don't have a situation that will take advantage of the many competencies we have to bring even into a determination like that. So you can be sure that the people who come to the committee would also have an opinion before being selected.
Well, with what you have said here, I'm sure the petitioners will even want you to be on the committee.
Absolutely.
But I can assure you that I will not be.
Anyway, but let me do this quickly, and then I think we'll have to conclude on this matter.
It's not that I wouldn't want to be.
And he will not be selected.
I cannot select myself.
Okay, right. But the 2024 edition of the 3FM Tour de Ghana, we just took a quick detour, and I'll come to Mr. Daniel Domelevo and then also lawyer Martin Pebu. What you're seeing on the screen now, and for those of you listening to us on 3FM 92.7, is the 2024 edition of the 3FM Tour to Ghana. It's more than just a race. This year's event becomes a movement for change with a focus on pedaling for climate change and promoting inclusive paracycling participation. They are moving right now. The race has just started from the starting point here at the forecourt of TV3 and 3FM at Adesawe Kanda. So those having the benefit of watching us on the television, the cyclists are just moving from the starting point, and they are making their way all the way to Kwewu. They are cycling from here, TV3, to Kwewu in the eastern region, and we will be following them every step of the way. I don't think any of us on this table can cycle to Kwewu.
I nearly returned when I saw the crowd before.
Kwewu is not far.
So, hey,
Martin, I nearly returned when I saw the crowd before.
Oh, okay.
With policemen, and they said, what is happening?
see. So there are paracyclists and then the amateurs as well who are part of them. So there you have it. And we can only wish them all the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Indeed. And we will be giving updates as we go on. This is the 3FM Tour to Ghana. But coming back and quickly, and Mr. Domelevo, so seeing the nature of this parliament, this 8th parliament, even though a hung parliament, in previous instances, this week, that case of Ken Oforiatta came up. This motion for censorship and how it played out. They're proven to be very partisan. Do you think they are going to, and based on this, or some of these previous instances, going to meet your expectation as petitioners if this bipartisan probe is even instituted into this Cicely Adapa case? If you can unmute for me. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Great. In the discharge of my duties as a public officer, I do it to the best of my ability with good intentions. And I assume the same for every public officer. I think it is our civic responsibility to petition Parliament and leave the rest to them. If we don't believe in Parliament, then why did we go there? It will be contradictory to say that we think Parliament will not do good job, but we went to them. So we believe they will do a good job. The fact that what they did in the past may not be satisfactory to some people, or to you, or to me, does not necessarily mean, does not necessarily mean they did a wrong thing, or they will be doing a wrong thing. So as far as I'm concerned, I believe the Parliament will do the needful. The most important thing is that we want to know the story behind the story. What is making it difficult for institutions of states to discharge their roles or the duties imposed upon them by law? We want to know that. And if this is brought to the fore, I think it will be good. Like I said in one of the interviews, all we are seeking for is to know the story behind the story. Is it just a refusal? Or is it because we are doing it in sympathy, or we are part of a looting brigade or something? What are the reasons? We want to know those reasons. Thank you.
Oh, well, indeed, thank you. And you're also a joint petitioner in this case as well. And in that faith that you have in Parliament to really do a good job. And Mr. Domelevo, please stay with me, because we're getting into this conversation of Martin Amidu and the latest petition to the president to have Kiseja being removed as special prosecutor. Okay,
yes, Mr. Okansi, I have faith to some extent, right? Yes, because we all know that Parliament is quite a weak institution. That's why I say I have faith to some extent. And the Speaker himself, in one of the speeches about 4 months ago, acknowledged it. Yeah, so it cannot be that we think Parliament will provide all the answers. But looking at the conclusion of Parliament, it moves the case forward. Once the Speaker admits it and sets up the committee, that in itself is a huge step forward. You see, I keep saying that every time we are analyzing, we shouldn't just jump to the final conclusion, like the Oforiatta case. Oh, did the censure pass or not? No. If you do that, then it means we are not being analytical enough. You have to look at the process. How did it go from point 1 to point 2? The questions Oforiatta answered. You see, he had to admit that, yes, when we borrow, data bank makes money. That's huge. It's a big indictment on him and President Kufuor, who came on the back of what? The corruption in the Mahama administration. We thought it was so nauseating, and that he will not do family and friends. No, I'm not corrupt. When was the last time you heard President Kufuor use that phrase again? I'm not corrupt and I'm incorruptible. You see, that time is proving that he's... Oh, then he was joking.
No, that was last year.
Last year, oh, then he was joking. When you put your brother... So in Kufuor's definition of corruption, even putting his brother as finance minister alone, is corruption. That appointment alone, because Kufuor said the definition of corruption is that no family and friends business. Well, don't bring in family and friends. So putting his brother as finance minister in itself is the first stage of corruption. Then stage 2, data bank makes money. Right now, if you Google Ministry of Finance, their website, you see it there. It's there on the website. Just Google Ministry of Finance. They tell you the bonds. It's not hidden there. It's on your phone. You say so. So the point is that when Ofuriatta, when the answers he gave, indicted him for the rest of his life, he and his wife, family, all of them, they are tainted. So if I see Ofuriatta's son with a Porsche car, I say, proceeds of
point
corruption.
well made. Point well
So
made.
let's go on. So the point is that this one, when the speaker sets up the committee, that in itself, we've moved our democracy forward. Okay. Madam Tiwa Adudanka will come and answer. Some of the questions will definitely, the answers will nail her. Godfrey Dami will come and answer. Godfrey Dami went and sat on Joy FM and lied that Tiwa had done a comprehensive investigation, contracts, witnesses, etc. Meanwhile, Godfrey Dami's own letter says otherwise, where they said, you may commence the investigation. You may commence, but it is not necessary. That's the letter Godfrey Dami asked Evelyn Kilson to sign. Okay. Then Godfrey Dami went to contradict himself. So please, I'm not always interested in just final outcome, but the process itself, questions, answer, and that is the meaning of accountability. Accountability is not always about, oh, we've thrown the person in jail, we have reduced the salary, we have demoted the person. No. When you are asked questions in the hearing, that in itself, as you answer, is also a phase of accountability. So let's go on with it, by all means. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Well, on that bit about what has been done by both Iyoko and in this case the special prosecutor, it leads me to the next conversation because there's some correlation in there. The former special prosecutor, in fact, the first special prosecutor of the Republic of Ghana, Martin Alamisi Burns Kaiser Amidu, has petitioned President Kufuor to have his successor removed as special prosecutor. And these were the grounds for his petition. We'll put that on the screen right now. It talks about violation of citizens' right to information, violation of citizens' rights through arrests and detentions, abuse of judges and administration of justice, procurement breaches, appointment breaches. These were the 5 grounds that Martin Alamisi Burns Kaiser Amidu is asking the president to look at to remove Kessie Jabing as special prosecutor. Now, let me just take you back a bit. You take a listen to, these are the grounds as you see there. And as we do know now, this petition was forwarded to the Chief Justice, who was written to Special Prosecutor Kessie Jabing to provide his comments on the petition that has been filed by his predecessor, Martin Amidu, for his removal.
Yes, because it's a big gang.
Take a listen to the Special Prosecutor Kessie Jabing sometime last year. In fact, it was December last year when he addressed the press. You know, aside from the Ankwa Noma thing that I talked about, take a listen to something that he said before singing the Ankwa Noma song. Take a look.
Wait, let us bring before you the body of our investigation as evidence. And if you look at it and you decide that the evidence does not show up to the standard of proof required in criminal cases, then you can dismiss it. But don't prevent us from doing our work, from investigating. It is dangerous. As I said, I wasn't sounding as a prophet of doom, but there is doom looming ahead of us. That very soon, a murderer will boldly walk to court to seek an injunction. Should I feel frustrated and resign? I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. Those who do not understand tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a Ankwanoma. Me de me cry abo afore. Me ye de me to me.
So, just for the benefit of those who don't understand tree, he says he's a lonely bird. that he's only doing what he can do. When his time is up, he will go. But, Mr. Domelevo, Martin Amidu has not hidden his disapproval of Kissie Jabin's motives in some instances, some of the decisions that he has taken. But listening to Kissie Jabin right now, that he wasn't sounding as a prophet of doom, but it appears that what he feared is just playing out in a very interesting way, is it not?
It is. And being a former Auditor General who tried to fight corruption, I know what Honorable Kissie Jabin is facing. And to me, it's very sad. I have said time and again that once you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back. I did not even know the dates until I saw that the petition of Honorable Martin Amidu, it's reaching the Chief Justice writing to Kissie Jabin, all happened within it's not up to 30 days. So I say, hey, this conveyor belt can work very fast in some cases. And in some other cases, which are several years ago, and I'm very sure that you know there were about 2 petitions against the Electoral Commissioner. And I'm sure those petitions have still not found itself onto the conveyor belt. And there was a petition also against the former Chief Justice, I think.
Yes, so far yes.
Yes, it has still not reached the conveyor belt. So I said this conveyor belt work sometimes at neck-breaking speed. And at times it does not work. My only surprise is that this petition is coming from Honorable Martin Amidu.
What's the surprise?
I'm not saying that he doesn't have the right so to do, but if I were in his position, I will not participate in doing anything to remove my successor from office. That is my only reservation about it. And everyone, including Honorable Martin Amidu, should know that Kissie Jabin, being at the forefront of fighting corruption, will not be a favorite one at the office of the president. So he just walked into a trap or created a favorable environment for the office of the president to expedite action. Otherwise, more serious allegations were made against other people. And the presidency has not found it right to forward such allegations or those petitions to the Chief Justice. So this selective way of administering justice, I think, does not help our country. And I particularly, let me be honest with you, I find the new development very, very unfortunate. Thank you.
I see. But that element of surprise, you're not the only one who shares in there that it is coming from Martin Amidu. And taking into consideration what he has also said in time past about President Akufo-Addo. What posture are you expecting of the president about this petition coming from Martin Amidu?
Well, I don't know how to put it. But you see, forgive me, all my life I've worked as an accountant and I'm an accountant. Consistency is very important in our profession. One of the fundamental principles in accounting is consistency. You can't treat the same transaction in different ways. No. If you treat it in a certain way, then you must continue treating until there's a justification. And even that, our standard practice requires that you must disclose what justified the change in the modus operandi. Otherwise, you must continue. So, when we are aware that several petitions have been going to or have gone to the presidency and they didn't do anything about it, or them, I expected the same to have happened in this case. But interestingly, the conveyor belt, as I said, started moving at neck-breaking speed. And forgive me if it is not true, but an unconfirmed source tells me that by next week, they may be asking him to step aside so that somebody may be active until the investigation is finished. No. And to me, the story behind the story is that corruption is fighting back. It may not be a joint exercise between the presidency and Martin. Martin may be fighting a genuine cause from his point of view, but they were waiting for Kisia Jabe. And I think Martin has has pressed the button, and they are going with it. That is my considered opinion. Thank you.
See, this information that you're getting, that he may be asked, I mean, Mr. Kisia Jabe as a special prosecutor may be asked to step aside until investigations into this petition, the grounds of this petition, are over. I mean, if this happens, what will be the message in there for you?
Yeah, it is. To me, it will mean that definitely they are in a hurry to get him off. Because definitely, Honorable Kisia Jabe did not read his terms of reference correctly, if you allowed me to say. What I mean is, I'm being sarcastic. I don't mean that he didn't read it well. Most of the times, when you are appointed into anti-corruption position, you think your job or your mandate, as PLO Lumumba said, you think your job is to fight corruption. But your appointers, or those who appointed you, they want you to just pretend fighting corruption. I think that was his mandate, but he misread it. He thought his job is supposed to fight corruption. Hence, corruption is fighting back, and maybe people are not happy with him. So I will not be surprised if that comes to. I hope you know that it is part of the provisions in the Constitution. I think under Article 146 or so, the president can ask you to step aside when the investigation is being conducted. And somebody whispered into my ears that that is going to be done. And I said, ooh, I won't be surprised. So we wait and see anyway.
Indeed, we'll wait and see. But